Okay. I believe we're finished. I believe we're finished, Mr. Neal. Take a, please,
Easy.
take a rest. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Item L is an honorary street name designation for the 200 block of South Melrose Avenue, changing the name to Honorary Corporal Alex Martinez Avenue. The city received an honorary street name application for the 200 block of South Melrose with an honorary plaque for Corporal Alex Martinez. The city's municipal code establishes procedures for honorary street name designations by the city council. Several aspects of that current ordinance are in need of change to better align practices with city staff. And while staff has been researching policy considerations for future city council review and is expected to be presenting a proposed ordinance amendment during committee of the whole meeting sometime in July. Councilman Dixon has requested that the honorary street name recognizing Corporal Alex Martinez be considered by the city council prior to consideration of a revised ordinance.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and second for approval. We have 4 people that signed up to speak to this issue. First one's Anthony Ortiz.
I wasn't going to come here and throw some people under the bus, but Mr. Constantino back there talked me out of it. He's a really good employee you guys have, so I think he needs some recognition over there. But many of you know me and my background, but for those of you who don't, my name is Anthony Ortiz. I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran, so the Marine I'm going to talk about and the things he went through and the struggles he faced in Afghanistan, I know. We were both deployed together also in 2010 in Sangin Valley. There's one thing I have a question about, Mr. Kozel. You said that you're getting pushback from veteran organizations and citizens in Elgin. I personally reached out to different veteran organizations and people that live on the 200 block of Melrose. None of them have said that they are hesitant for this ordinance, or not even this ordinance, for this honorary street naming. So if they're telling me one thing and telling city staff another, then why are they keeping, why is it staying confidential? They should be put out on blast saying that they're telling the city one thing, but telling the guy that was deployed with Alex another. I've spoken with a few people that understand why I want the honorary street naming for Corporal Martinez. They said, why should a veteran get a street naming? Then all veterans will want one. I have to explain to him that he's not just any veteran that's still walking the streets of Elgin. He actually went to combat. He died saving Marines so they can go home to their families. Correct? Yes. So I personally honor, I'm not even going to read this anymore. I personally know 25 guys, Marines, brothers, that died when I was in combat. They didn't come home. They came home before we did. They came home in a box. And other cities within the country, without even being asked to do it, they stood up and said, this guy grew up in our town. He went to our schools. He supported us. He honored us in the most heroic ways possible. And the congressmen have changed post offices. They put street placards. They put memorials in front of police stations. This isn't all in the Chicago area. I read the memo. You guys researched it. You guys know. This is countrywide. It's seeming like Elgin's getting pushback, bro. Why? If the ordinance says that you need 2/3 of signatures within the proposed area that you want the street naming, we got that. We got the endorsement. We got the merit. The merit is there. I talked to one council member earlier. They said that one of their children are planning on joining the military. The Marines, for that matter. At first he said he wasn't going to support it, but then maybe he will. Maybe he's changed his mind. Because I've stressed to him that America goes to war about 10 times, or every 10 years. One was due for another one. We're going to get more people, especially more council members that are going to have kids and join the military. So would you want to go out of your front door and see your kid's name there and smile every time you see him, knowing that the city's not forgetting about him? No. Everybody wants to be remembered, especially guys that gave their life. This is a no-brainer. I've said it before. It's a really no-brainer. Alex honored us in the best way he could. Corporal Martinez saved many people. You guys read his Purple Heart citation. You guys read his Navy, his NAM with a V from his first deployment. That first deployment we went on was hideous. We've lost so many guys, so many people. We made stories, headlines all over the major news networks. You just Google 3rd Battalion, 5th Marine, Sangin Valley, Afghanistan. You'll get a thread of millions of articles. He was in that combat deployment with us, and then he decided to go back. This guy didn't have one selfish bone in his body. He honored us, he served us, and it seems like the city is looking for ways to not honor him. That may not be the case, but that's the way I'm perceiving it, and that's the way I'm seeing it as. Thank you.
Thank you. Aimer Ramirez.
Good evening. It's sad for me to stand up here because he served with him, but I grew up with him. It wasn't easy, but he was a few years older than me, but he was an inspiration, like he said, for me and my brother, who next month he will be deployed to Afghanistan. I think with Alex being part of my life and growing up next to him, it played a big role in my life. And I think that all the time, that's all you hear. It's the crime and the criminals. You never see anything positive. It's very little. I think that that's also what we need. It inspired me, and I assure you it will inspire others to do right, to maybe even join the military. I was blessed by God that I didn't have to put myself in a situation like he was in or Alex. I don't forget about him for two reasons, because I grew up with him, so he's missing in our block. Next, his family put a flagpole, but from my understanding, that's them honoring their son. That's not us giving him back or remembering him. So I don't think that Memorial Day, just one day a year, is enough. I think that us as a country, especially as a city, we owe them something. And there's no way to repay him, but the best way we can do it, the best thing we can do is to honor him. And this, from my understanding, is at no cost. And another thing, there's a quote that President Obama had said, and that is, our nation knows a debt to its fallen heroes that we can never fully repay, but we can honor their sacrifice. What better way than to do this? It's just the street side. He went above and beyond to doing something that none of us here in this room probably are ever going to have to do. But that being said, if it's not too much to ask for, I don't think that it should only be us as veterans. It should be us as a community to honor him and to just make his family feel like we haven't forgot about him. And I hope that it passes so that I see his mom a few times a week, and it's just a pain that I see in her eyes that is never going to go away. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin Mischler.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm going to try to keep this brief since we've all been here for like 3.5 hours already. So I was in 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines with Alex. I was in Fox Company. He was in Echo. I never met him, but he was the first person to die on a deployment to Afghanistan. I'm from Belvedere. I'm not from Elgin, but we have a street named for Brandon Ramey, who was from Belvedere, died in Iraq in 2004. And the fact that I have to take 3 hours out of my day to sit here and listen to you guys talk about garbage oh, I could be spending time with my family when I'm going to leave back to the Middle East here in about 3 weeks. Kind of seems like a waste of time for me to have to travel an hour out of my way to come here and talk about this when it should be like that. So just like everybody else said here, it should be a simple thing. You guys should all vote yes. I don't see why it's even up to a vote. Should just be something to do right away and something that you guys shouldn't even have to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you. Alberto Lopez.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council, and to all in attendance. My name is Alberto Lopez. I'm an Elginite. I went to McKinley here, Larson, graduated Elgin, served in the Marine Corps for 2 enlistments, and I'm here to talk about a Marine I've never met and why that's important. One of the biggest things that we even introduced him today, Corporal Martinez served the United States Marine Corps from the city of Elgin. That's his legacy. That's what we're doing here today. That's all of us here. And so I'm here to support him, his family, this community as much as I can. Like I said, I never had the honor of meeting him, but I know him because of the mindset of a Marine. And I know he wouldn't want this. He'd be upset because I would be upset, because we'd all be upset. Because it's not about the individual, it's about the people that you serve with. It's about the people to your left and your right. And that's what his service did. He did that, he embodied that. And when he was in that uniform and doing what he thought and he knew and he believed in his heart was just his job, and what he gave up, what his friends lost, what his family lost. We're trained to understand what we do and what we serve, and it's a reflection of not of just us, but our family and where we come from and the uniform we wear. That concept of being there also for your fellow Leathernecks is why I'm here. I'm here because if the roles were reversed, he'd be here. He'd be here advocating for a Marine he'd never met. I'm here because to be his voice on why this street naming should occur. This action would benefit the city of Elgin just as much as the family. I'm here because this Marine and the life that he has given in the service of his country is an amazing example of the type of citizen that this city should be proud of and should display for all of its citizens to emulate. Additionally, his legacy is one that is our responsibility. We don't get to choose who tells our story, but I don't know a better way to truly thank Corporal Martinez, his friends, and his families for his service and sacrifice he has made, not for himself, but for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion from the council? Mr. Shaw.
So, I think the stories you talked about today were very moving, and I completely understand your perspective now. Hearing more from your story and understanding your vantage point, you know, I want to come to our manager's defense just a little bit and understand maybe a perspective, and then I'll follow up. One of the things we do try to do in the council is consistency, and to try to make sure that if we do one thing, it doesn't cause a negative reaction another way, or feels like we're sliding something else. And I think there was some concern at one point about doing this specific street sign would then draw away from the memorial park that we have down by the library. After talking to you today and hearing your story, I don't think it does that at all. In fact, I think what I would like to see done, in addition to that, is to put something down at the memorial park where we do list his name. Because in fact, today is not the first time that I've heard his name, nor when this issue came to the council was the first time I heard his name, but it was when I visited a museum down in Springfield. And it was, I believe there's a state armed guard, or a state museum for our military down there, and that's the first time I ever saw his name. So when this came forward, it clicked. And so I guess I would like to see something that we do with our veterans organization to also put something down at the memorial as well, so that people can see. Because what I fear is that yes, there'll be a street sign. I think that's great for his family, and I will support it. And the friends that are in his neighborhood, but I also think something should be done from a more broader community perspective. And some of the comments that were spoken about, should this be an automatic thing? That's something that I would like to talk to our veterans organizations as well and think, yes, I think I see where you're coming from. This doesn't happen every day. This isn't something like where this is not a frequent thing. This is very rare. This is very, and I'm glad that it's rare. And I do think that it has a lot of impact on the family and friends in that neighborhood, and I will support this tonight. I do thank you for coming out. Your time coming from your drive and your 3 hours today to hear about trash did not go in vain. I thank you, Mr. Ortiz, as well for bringing this forward. I think I was wrong on my first initial instinct about hearing about this and wanting to be consistent. But I think there's other ways to be consistent. I think we can even go back in time and look for other fallen soldiers who served us in active duty as well, and possibly look for other ways to recognize them as well. So thank you for coming out tonight. I will be supportive of this, and thank you again.
Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank every single one of you for coming out this evening and spending the time to hear us debate and deliberate over other issues. But I really appreciate the fact that you came out this evening, and I stand in complete solidarity with every single one of you. Anthony, for bringing this up. Alberto, I don't know if we're related with the same last name as Lopez, but we'll figure that out later down the road. But I really want to thank every single one of you. I think that this is incredibly important for us to recognize a fallen war hero, because that's what he is. And reading about him, I really got a better understanding of who he was. He was an exemplary citizen, not only in the military, but also in the community. And on top of that, he's a Purple Heart recipient. And I think we have to recognize that in our community as well. So I stand in full support, in solidarity, and I will be voting yes this evening.
Ms. Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to echo a few thoughts here. But first and foremost, as a veteran, I'd like to say thank you for everybody's service who is a veteran here. And I think you're right that we should never forget his name, Alex Martinez. I remember when we had almost like a parade for him. It was really beautiful. And the first time I really encountered his name, per se, was I was working at the post office, and the governor had ordered us to, as a federal building, to go ahead and lower the flag, and I had that honor to do that. And but there's a process for things to happen. And I remember, I think there was even some conflicting understanding that when he passed, Larkin High School, being the high school that he went ahead and graduated from, they right away went and put the flag at half-mast, and then they went ahead and started criticizing the city and the rest of U-46 for not doing it. It should be done. And what happened was, again, there's a protocol on how that's done. That's done by the governor giving that order, and I even have on my phone where I made a picture of that, because to be truthful, there's 264 residents in Elgin that died in combat. Okay, different wars, but they're residents of Elgin, and they died in combat. They gave the ultimate. In my lifetime, the only one that I know, or that I think I know, is Alex, and it was, like I said, an honor. I do belong to veteran organizations, and I think it's important. I think we all should, because that's our voice as veterans, not only locally, but statewide and for the government. We should have people out there talking about what we do, what it is that can happen, and that's why we need to join these organizations. I know we're all busy. I'm not telling you to go ahead and be there all the time. No, but just by belonging and being a member, that gives the voice at a state level, a local level, and a government level. And I know, all I'm saying is that nobody should be forgotten, okay? And what was brought to my attention, there's a Bohemian National Cemetery in Chicago. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but it's really beautiful. They have something where they go ahead, I don't know if they take a day, they take a week, but they honor the veteran. And that's beautiful, because you know about the veteran. And I think that that's something that should be done here. as a city, we took it upon ourselves to go ahead and get together with these organizations and have a Veterans Memorial. It's beautiful. And we do have names down there. And I think that somebody should take the initiative to put his name there and other people and keep it up. I also, I would like to go ahead and take that idea where we recognize people, not just for one day, but like you said, for a couple of days, maybe for a week. You know, every veteran that has given up his life. The other issue, later on, years later, I think it was like 3 years ago, that was one of my stops right on that corner of Melrose. And is it Erie? I think it's Erie. And it caught my attention. You know, it had a KIA flag, and it's beautiful what the family has done, you know. But I think as a community, he should be recognized. My thought, and I think I even talked to Anthony Ortiz about it, there's a street there, Ann Street, that goes into Veterans Memorial, and I even thought, well, maybe they should name that for him. But talking to veteran organizations, it should really be Veterans Way, you know, for everybody, because it is sad that, you know, you lose people like that, and it affects the family. You know, there was families that didn't have their father, their brother, their uncle. The other thing is that what I would like to say is we also have, as a community, include the Lao community. I think we've been very inclusive in that. I think it's something that should be done. So when I talk to these veteran organizations, I think this situation kind of got them motivated, you know, and giving ideas that we should go ahead and honor all of them. We shouldn't forget anybody. This is a large community. I was surprised, 264. There might even be more, you know, I don't know. But, so those are my feelings. I think that we should go ahead and, as a city, honor all our veterans at Veterans Memorial.
Mr. Gavin.
Real quick, because it's getting late and you have a long drive home. I think it was you who said it's a no-brainer, or one of you did. It's a no-brainer. There's no need to explain any further. I've had many friends who are Marines, Army Rangers, served in Vietnam, came back wounded. So, hey, it's been going on for quite some time. And we do honor our veterans in this community. Trust me. I've been going to veterans memorials for many, many years. So thanks again for coming out. Thanks for speaking. We respect what you did, and we support what you did. And God bless you.
Ms. Powell.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to all of you who spoke today, and thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for driving all the way here from Belvedere and listening to our 3-hour meeting. I will be supporting this. I was the other council member that seconded putting this on the agenda. And while I understand and respect that there are some changes that do need to be made to the ordinance, this is something that was already in the pipeline, and I feel that it would be inappropriate for us to change the rules in the middle of the game for this particular request. If we had concerns, then we should not have even accepted the application. That's my thought. But since we did accept the application and it went through the process, we need to evaluate it under the guidelines that we have right now. I know that our image commission, which no longer exists, is normally a part of this process, and I pointed that out, I think, a couple months ago, that we would probably need to look at this since we no longer have an image commission, and I'm assuming that's part of the recommendations that staff will be bringing back, it looks like you said in July. But I remember the procession in our community when Corporal Martinez, when his body was brought back here, and that's hard. And for the family, for the friends, for our community, I think this is, as it's been said before, a no-brainer. I also echo the comments made by Councilman Shaw. I support us doing something even separate at the Veterans Memorial, honoring our war heroes who died in the line of duty. I think that would be very appropriate because everybody may not drive on Melrose Avenue and see this, but they may see it at the Veterans Memorial. So I will be supporting this, and thank all of you for coming tonight and sharing your stories with us.
Mr. Dixon.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to all the Marines that came out this evening, especially from Belvedere. As my colleagues have said, I really appreciate that and appreciate you and your service to this community, to this country. Without folks like you, we wouldn't have the freedoms that we do have, and I recognize that. Special thanks to Anthony Ortiz for staying with this. This was something that Mr. Ortiz began working on while he was running for elected office, and and although he was not elected, he still continued on and did exactly what he said he was going to do for that family. So for me, that shows the kind of integrity that he has. And so I want to say thank you, and you're of value to this community. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you asking me to sponsor for Corporal Martinez, and I'm just going to read into public record the letter of support that I wrote, and I'm obviously going to be favoring this, but let me say a couple of things before I go ahead and I read that. Honorary street names bring character to a community. Anytime I go into a community and I see these names on top of these streets, and they're renamed, I always wonder, who is that person? Who is this person? And it gives me a sense of that community and what they think about each other. So I love seeing when streets are renamed. I think that's really important. And there isn't enough that we can do really to say thank you for our fallen soldiers and even our veterans at the same time. So I would also be in support of seeing what else we can do to make sure that we honor all of our veterans, as Councilman Shaw brought up. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and try to quickly read this letter here. So I write this letter of support and petition for the honorary street naming in remembrance and gratitude to Corporal Alex Martinez on the 200 block of Melrose Avenue. We should honor all of our fallen soldiers, and the honorary street renaming of Corporal Martinez will help do just that. Corporal Martinez was an Elgin resident. He went to Gifford Elementary, Abbott Middle School, and then graduated from Larkin High School. Soon after graduating from Larkin, he joined the U.S. Marine Corps. Corporal Martinez was assigned to 1st Combat Engineer Battalion. He deployed twice to Helmand Providence, Afghanistan. On his first deployment, he was awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal with a V for valor because of his heroic actions. Corporal Martinez was deployed back to Afghanistan in early 2012 in direct support of Operation Enduring Freedom. He was only in Afghanistan a few months into his deployment when he was mortally wounded. Corporal Martinez has received a Purple Heart and is someone the city of Elgin should be extremely proud to call an Elgin Knight. He set an example with his courageous service that we all can learn from and be proud of, especially for our beloved Hispanic community, who's an integral part of our city. So that letter doesn't really do any justice to who he was as a person, from what I'm told, and I didn't know him personally. But with you all showing up and the community members that have reached out to me, it really goes to show how important, how great of a person he was. And so it's my honor to sponsor this. And so obviously I will be supporting it. So thank you all again.
Anything else? Just a suggestion, when we start moving forward on other memorials, contact the Veterans Associations and those organizations, that they need to be part of those discussions as well. Yeah.
Will they be part of the procedure that is the proposed procedure changes?
I think they look at, they have the services at the memorials. They would like to be part of how the process is, and especially veterans, not just the street naming. I don't think is a concern for them. How
Okay.
veterans are honored, they want to be part of that.
Oh, at the one that we discussed that
Right.
that Councilman. Oh, absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely.
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay.
Councilmembers Dixon,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, motion's approved 8-0. Brings us to announcements from the council. Seeing none, Ms. Center, announcements from staff.
Good evening. Elgin's 4th of July parade theme this year is Get in the Game, coinciding with the Gale Borden Library's summer sports exhibit. The parade starts at 9 a.m. on Thursday, July 4th at the intersection of Douglas and Slade and moves south into downtown Elgin, ending at Highland Avenue. Thanks to sponsors Grand Victoria Casino, the annual fireworks display will return on Thursday, July 4th, viewable from Festival Park at 9 p.m. More information on the 4th of July events can be found at cityofelgin.org/July4. Walk with the mayor this summer. Meet the mayor and city staff, ask questions, and explore a local neighborhood and get some exercise. The next walk is Wednesday, July 17th in the Swan neighborhood. The full walk schedule is available at cityofelgin.org/walks. And next Tuesday, July 2nd, a ceremony will be held at 3 p.m. in the Heritage Ballroom of the Edward Schock Center of Elgin for the promotions occurring throughout the ranks of the Elgin Police Department, as well as the retirement of Deputy Chief Al Young, Commander Frank Trost, and Sergeant Katie Potts. Thank you.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dixon,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Mayor Captain.
Yes, we are adjourned.
Do you want an oak tree?